Good morning, this is Mona and this is my morning view. Today it is the spring edition of 2025. Looks rainy out, overcast, ground is wet, so it at least has rained. A little bit warmer than it has been all week. That's the weather report. And today it is Feisty Friday. Feisty Friday. Today I'm running a little late because I had to find all my costume parts. It is the last day before spring break, so there's a few things that the teachers are doing without telling the children. So therefore I'm not saying anything right now because some of those children's parents may see this video. All right, so today, Feisty Friday. Feisty Friday. It is my day to offend. Sometimes offend myself. So what I'm covering today is about the sons of Korah. The sons of Korah there was this Levite in the Old Testament. His name was Korah. He rebelled against Moses with a couple other two dudes. Can't remember their names. They were from the tribe of Reuben, and 250 other individuals. They rebelled against Moses. They offered incense in fire pans, and then the fire consumed them. Now, they didn't want to do it the way Moses wanted them to do, and Moses was God's leader. The leader that God had chosen to get them from Egypt to the Promised Land. Of course, Moses himself did not get to go into the Promised Land because he got angry with the children of God. And instead of doing what God told him to do, to speak the rock, he did what he had done before. God had told him before to speak and smite the rock with his rod. This time he said, just speak to the rock. Because God likes to do things different. He likes to do things different. He likes to change it up. He also likes to know whether you're listening. Of course, he knows the answer to that. That is for us to find out. Are we listening? Are we listening to the Lord? Or are we doing what we want? Are we making excuses to do what we want? Are we being like King Saul? Like I was told Sunday night that King Saul, you people pleaser, you're sacrificing instead of obeying. A part of that is following instructions to leadership. And not false leadership, not to Korah, but to Moses. The 250 followed Korah to their death. Moses didn't get to go into the Promised Land because he got mad. And he did something that God told him not to do. God said, speak to the rock. And he hit it. Something that you sit there and go, but that was so minor, and he had done it like that before. God had instructed him to do it like that before. When you have much knowledge, you are responsible for more. You are held to a higher accountability when you are a leader. That's why I don't step into leadership roles. Not that gal. If God calls me to be a leader, I'll step into it, but I'm not stepping into it on my own. I'm not stepping into it before he says yes. I'm still down in the dungeon sometimes. I'm still working for Potiphar sometimes. I'm still in the desert tending sheep, like Moses, for 40 years. Took Moses 40 years in the desert, shepherding, before he could be God's shepherd. To shepherd his people from one field to another field. I thought, in my mind, I had this conflicting thought of, am I being rebellious? Is there a lawlessness going on inside of here that I'm rebelling, just attending something that we were told not to attend? Not to have ongoing. But I could be a watchdog to make sure that God's people don't get hurt. I'm a watchdog. I'm that fly on the wall for Jesus. I will sacrifice my time to make sure that they are safe, because I'm a watchdog. But when you are in rebellion, when you are being disobedient, when God is telling you, you should not be there, then you will have a weakness because you do not have God's army standing behind you. And the enemy will overtake you. The enemy will overtake you. You think you could handle it? You think you could be the lone dog? I can take care of the flock all by myself, without the shepherd. The watchdog can only do so much without the shepherd. They get their commands from the shepherd. Oh, they have a protectiveness built inside of them. Shepherd dog. It's part of their instinct to protect. But at any given time, they can actually accidentally hurt the flock. I don't want that on my watch. If the shepherd's not there to give me instructions, if the shepherd doesn't want me to be there, to make godly excuses, King Saul, it sounds like I'm beating myself up. I'm not. I'm learning. I'm being teachable. And being teachable is the best place to be in. And I'd rather be wrong and teachable than right in my own mind and not teachable. When we rebel against authority, when we rebel against our leadership, by the way, I'm not talking political here. The United States has a process. We vote. We vote people in, we vote people out. That's how we do it. There are those that don't like the outcome. No matter which side wins. There are people that don't like the outcome and won't want to submit. It's part of our independence. We were a rebellious people. That's what happened in Boston with the Boston Tea Party. Only they tried to blame it on the Indians. It wasn't us. We dressed up like Native Americans. Yeah, we were the savages that did that. Yeah, you were savages, all right. Trying to throw your fellow man under the bus. I'm not saying that was wrong to fight against the king and become an independent nation. I'm highly patriotic. My ancestors fought in that war. So I totally get it and understand this independence, because you don't want to drink the Kool-Aid, right? You don't want to follow leadership blindly to your death. So there's nothing wrong with questioning your leadership. But we're in a day and age where we can choose who we follow. And if you don't think that person is a man of God, teaching you the words of God and being an example of God, why are you there? Why would you rebel against the leadership? Come, Samuel. Sacrifice with me. I've done everything that God told me to do. Why do I hear the mooing of cattle and the bleating of sheep? Why is the king still alive? He told you to destroy everything and take nothing. And yet you have taken the spoils of war. Oh, but my men! They deserve to have some spoil. There were lives lost today. They fought hard and valiantly. Do not they deserve something? You were supposed to be obedient, Saul. You were supposed to be obedient. God would have blessed the armies of Israel. But you chose it upon yourself to be proudful, to look radiant in the eyes of your men. Aren't I wonderful? Here's all the spoils. You get to take the best of the best, men. The men were following King Saul. But Saul was not being obedient. He was rebelling against Samuel, God's anointed. Saul was anointed by Samuel. Samuel stuck to the program. This is what God requires. I'm going to tell you what God requires. Samuel could have totally died that day when he told Saul, God is sorry for making you king, and he will remove you from the throne and your descendants. And he will choose another. He will choose another. David did a lot of wrong in his life. He wasn't perfect. But his heart wanted to please God. Sometimes his flesh got in the way. Saul probably did more things right than wrong. But his heart wasn't there. His heart wasn't there. And it drove him mad. He ended up being a madman. David had multiple times taken Saul out. But he was not going to do that to God's anointed. He still respected the authority, even though he had to run for his life. He respected authority. You cannot lead if you do not know how to respect the authority above you. You cannot lead if you are disobedient to authority, if you're disobedient to God. The sons of Korah. What are some of the lessons from them? The importance of respecting authority. The dangers of pride. Need for clear communication. A necessity for addressing conflict. And the consequences of disobedience. So Feisty Friday, are we rebelling against authority and making righteous excuses? Are we rebelling against authority and leading others astray? Are we rebelling against authority causing a division? Are we rebelling against authority because we think it's the right thing to do? Sometimes you have to watch for those that pass out the Kool-Aid. Those of you old enough to remember what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about. But it's time to get out of Dodge long before they drink the Kool-Aid. Long before they serve the Kool-Aid. If at any time you are sensing that this person is not the man of God that has been placed in your authority, that you have stepped under their umbrella of leadership, once you step under their umbrella of leadership, it is up to them to keep you safe. But if you step outside from that umbrella, you're going to get wet. Or you're going to get sun scorched. Or whatever the weather might be. It is their covering. Much like the covering of the family. We are under the umbrella of our husbands. Because he's there to keep us safe. But if we step outside of that safety, how can he keep us safe? We've chosen to rebel. And this is not about, wives, submit yourself to your husbands. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about them being over us and domineering. All that is BS narrative that the world has fed people, especially religion. But there is a respecting of authority in that. But I'm not talking about that right now. I'm talking about rebellion against those that are in authority over us in general. Obedience in respect to God. And how do we show obedience and respect to God? By showing respect for the authority that He has placed over us for this time. For respecting His anointed, like David respected Saul, even though Saul didn't deserve it. Not in the eyes of man. Saul did not deserve it. He was trying to kill David. But David was not going to kill Saul, even though he had multiple opportunities. Korah didn't like the way Moses was doing things. He wanted to do things his way. Moses said, don't do it that way. Don't do it. And the rebellion cost them their lives. All right. That's all I have for Feisty Friday. So now it's time for the commercial that I forgot to give at the beginning and in the middle. Go over to my YouTube channel, Mona E. Harrison. Hit subscribe. Hit like. Hit the comments. Hit notifications. Get all the bells and whistles. If you find that this is of value to someone else, share it. Share it. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you, Bill, for watching. Blessings, everybody. Have a great day. I will be off next week, so we'll see whether I am doing a morning view. I usually do not do them on holidays or vacations. And when I do, it's because I feel like it. It's my time off. I don't do it on the weekends. So like here, comment here, share here. Go over to my YouTube channel, Mona E. Harrison. Hit subscribe. Blessings, everybody. Have a great day. And I will see you possibly on Monday. Bye.